Hi, I'm so happy to be here talking to you about money and allowance. Now, money is, of course, a bigger, broader topic. I think a lot of things about money, at least for me, a lot of my own limited and limiting beliefs around money came up when we started thinking about and hearing about allowance for kids. Now, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back about 15 years or so. And it was the first time I was hearing a psychologist, an excellent local psychologist, as a Montessori teacher. I was hearing him give a chat about different things about children, and he was interspersing some parenting tools in there as well. And one of the things that he said, again, 15 years ago, was that you should give your kids an allowance for nothing, for doing nothing. And I absolutely railed against that. It's like money for nothing. Nobody gets money for nothing. I don't get money for nothing. I had a very big issue with that. Huge, huge problem. So many little problems, but the really big thing was, money for nothing makes no sense to me. There's only so much money, and I'm not giving it away for nothing. Nobody deserves it for nothing, right? So these were all of my beliefs. And then 3 years later, I went back because almost everything else that this gentleman said, I really resonated with. It was just the allowance piece that I didn't. But I went back and heard a different talk that he gave. And again, like so much resonated for me. It was in alignment with Montessori and everything else. But the piece about allowance, I was like, no, dude, you just have that piece wrong. That's you're wrong about that. And I wouldn't let it in. And so, my sons were getting older. By the second time um, that I saw him, well, at least my older was in lower elementary, and my younger was maybe kindergarten, something like that. And we had started to ask them about doing different jobs and helping out around the house, um and had paid them, right, to help us around the house. And so I will never forget, I can't remember how old he was, but I will never forget my one son. And it might have been a few years even after that, when it's like, oh, sweetie, can you help me unload the dishwasher? And he's like, sure, how much are you going to pay me? And I was like, what? Oh, no, 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 no. That's not how I want this to go. And I had created this expectation of, okay, you're asking me to do something around the house. I can say, yes or no. I can lounge over here, or I can help you with the dishwasher over here. It's going to cost you, was the environment that we had created in the house. And so then I went back and I learned more about, positive discipline, and this can't be how it's supposed to be, right? And I learned about things called family contributions, right? We can call them chores, we can call them family contributions, whatever we call them, but seemingly small things around the house that are recurring, like setting the table, unloading the dishwasher, bringing the trash cans to the curb, whatever it is. But there's a lot of these different things, right? And doing laundry. Um, I I don't get paid to do laundry. I could pay someone outside the house to do my laundry, but I do it. I was doing the whole house's laundry up until a certain point, upper elementary, when I used a process and, the whole family contribution and responsibility and everything to, um, and it wasn't instantaneous, okay, but it was a transition. That's the word. I transitioned it to my boys so they both do their own laundry. So that's wonderful. That's on the family contribution side. So I fixed that piece much earlier. And I had a snag though. I still had this snag about um, allowance being for nothing. So they were doing their family contributions. And for special projects like, help us clear out some of the backyard that was overgrown, it's a lot of work, it's physical, takes a lot of time. Yes, there were some things, special projects that we still paid them for. So fast forward to not all that long ago, I'm just going to say, um, it took me, I don't know exactly how many years, but 12, 13 years when I heard someone else speaking about, family contributions and the whole positive discipline sense. And then also saying, like, okay, so what we're doing with family contributions is we're saying we are a family unit and everyone contributes, everyone is valuable, everyone is valued, everybody has contributions to make to help this family unit function and help things happen here. And so that felt good. That made sense to me. The other piece of that is that everyone in the family gets to share in the abundance of resources. So, of course, we provide shelter for our children, we provide, food for our children, clothing, all these things. And in that way, they are, of course, sharing in the abundance. And there's an opportunity, and that is what started to click for me. There's an opportunity if we share the abundance in the form of money, in the form of an allowance, something regular, something that they know is coming, that is not tied to a certain thing that they do, but it's because they are a valued member of the family and it's one more way that they are sharing in the resources and the abundance of the family. That there's an opportunity for us to help them learn about money. And not that we're sitting down and teaching them necessarily, but they will learn it when they have it and they can make decisions with it. And that really intrigued me. It was like, you know what? Um, I really liked the idea that they're going to learn about money and they're going to be able to plan because there's this predictable flow and they're getting to share in not only the responsibilities around the house but also in the resources of the household. So in that way it felt like they shared with, doing what needed to be done and then receiving. So giving and receiving, they were both able to do just by virtue of being a member of the family. So I wanted to come in today and share that with you because not because that's the right way. There's a lot of ways, but there is a dynamic around that sharing both responsibility and resource, right? And I wanted to share that with you in case that resonates and in case you had some of that stuckness that I did, that maybe this is something that you let sit and maybe you see if it, starts to grow for you and you start to be able to feel differently about it. And maybe it won't take you 13 years. So there are other ways besides an allowance too, of course, that we can help our kids learn learn about money. And I'm just going to share just because it just happened today. I had decided now, yes, my kids get an allowance, but I had decided already, and I had my one son loves candy. Now, who doesn't like a little bit of candy of some kind, right? I mean, most people have their favorite, but he really loves candy. He really loves Halloween. And so I had decided that I was going to get him a little, a little candy. So it would make me feel good, right? To give that to him. And um, and then we had planned a trip to go to the store. There's a store called Five Below, and he loves the candy that they have there. So we were going to go, and then I could kind of see, because he loves it, right? It would be like, oh, mom, this, oh, mom, this, oh, mom, this. And I could see, like, wow, maybe this could turn into something that wouldn't be as fun because I would start to have to say no. And I thought, you know what? This is also an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to give and not have like that edge out there that I knew I was going to at some point have to say no. And also an opportunity for him to prioritize. So I just gave him a certain amount of money. And I said, Bud, that is yours for Five Below. Let's go in. We'll just, I'll get some stuff for, the trick-or-treaters. You can get what you want and, go and hang out with your friends and whatever with it. And so it's another way, right? It wasn't an allowance, but it was another way to show, okay, here's a fixed amount of money. You get to prioritize and see what, really is going to give you the most joy using that amount of money for that particular thing. So it doesn't all have to be about allowance. We can help our kids and let them share and let them learn in other ways with money. Um, but I wanted to come in and share this part of my story because this is something where I was stuck for just a really, really long time. And I if it speaks to you, wonderful. And if it doesn't speak to you because you didn't have that limiting belief to begin with, that's fantastic. But it might speak to you in the sense that, hey, like if you don't know me, it's easy to think that, somebody who has a podcast all about parenting is has it all figured out. And it's it's not necessarily the case. I'm always observing, always looking to help, but got my own blockages and limiting beliefs as well. So I know whenever I talk in group classes or one-on-one with parents, there's always a lot of questions about, how do I do this allowance thing and how much and this and that and the other. And of course, there's a lot of details underneath of this, but really the main thing is the energy and the dynamic and the atmosphere that you set up. The main thing is not, hey, should I do $1 every week for every year that they are on the planet, or $1 every month, or whatever. There's some practical pieces to this, right? Like we have to build this into our own household budget. Like what feels good? What are we able to do? And what are we expecting our kids to take care of as a result of their allowance? There's no right or there's no perfect answer. There's only what's right for your family. There's no perfect across the board answer. But I will share that the way we rolled it out, we said, hey, here's how much it's going to be, and it's going to be a little more for the older son and a little bit less for the younger son because he has a few more things to think about, and just from a developmental perspective, it just felt like a little bit more was was resonant, was a good match. But there's no perfect answer. We said, this is incidental money. Like you can do with it what you want, and you can decide to save up for something big. You can, save up for a guitar. You can save up for a trip. You can, you know, get DoorDash delivered if you want, but it's going to be your decision. And so then um, that was the way that that went. So there's a lot of details that need to be thought about and worked through before you have the conversation with your child, right? Like you have to know what what you're expecting them to take care of, what makes sense for your household and things like that. But I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any other questions about allowance or money or how to implement some of these things, or you're coming up against your own stuck limiting belief, maybe it's different or the same as mine, um, or you've started to implement it and you're running into a little bit of a challenge with your child, please do feel free to do one of two things. You can always email me, and you can also come on into the Relational Parents Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group, and put it out there and share. And I'm in there very, very often, and we have a lot of other relational parents who are in there as well, in there to give encouragement and support and share their own experience. So I would invite you to do that as well. Take good care. Bye for now.